Hello everyone, and welcome to part 2 of the tutorial on managing arrivals into LAX Airport in the TRACON 2012 simulator. Rather than jumping immediately into full gameplay, I created a custom schedule that contains only 4 arrivals, each coming into the Los Angeles airport from a different direction. While this certainly doesn't illustrate all the possible arrivals, it does show the basic strategies for managing east, north, and south arrivals. Indeed, while we're waiting for our first arrival to check in, let's do a very fast review of the basic arrival management strategies. You will recognize this picture as part of the tutorial on arrival management. And we've really got just 4 categories of basic arrivals. Those that are coming in from the east, which will be on one of these 3 arrivals, and then will be generally vectored down through the Paradise VOR, which is not visible on this particular display, but we'll see it on our real map, through Le Havre intersection, and then give them a slight turn towards gate intersection to intercept the ILS runway 25 left approach. Arrivals from the south, of which Lena 4 is an example, but it's certainly not the only one, will generally be vectored to the Seal Beach VOR. Seal Beach is indicated by SLI, crossing that at around 7,000 feet or a bit lower, and then straight up towards the gate intersection, and then a left turn to join the ILS runway 25 left localizer. These arrivals will have to be sequenced in with the arrivals from the east. From the west and from the northwest, arrivals like this 86, but there are several that are like this, come generally down this way and are vectored towards the Santa Monica VOR. They may not all come into Sadie intersection. In fact, not all of them do, but it's your job to kind of get them turned through Sadie, through Based, and then towards Santa Monica, down out past Honda intersection, a U-turn in, and these will be flying arrivals onto the runway 24 right ILS. And then finally, there's a class of arrivals that come down from the more to the north from Chemo intersection, such as the Chemo 2 arrival, through Darts. It'll go through Darts and turn to the east on its own towards Perms. The arrival ends at Perms, and it's up to you to vector them down towards the ILS runway 24 right approach, giving them again a right turn and onto the approach. So that's just a quick review. Now let's see this happening in practice. Even with the game accelerated at 8 times acceleration, there can be some pretty long delays between events happening on the screen, and so throughout this particular tutorial there'll be a combination of me accelerating the game and sometimes pausing the video recording and letting the game proceed so that the video doesn't get too boring. While we are waiting for this particular arrival to get handed off to us, we can see it coming in just from the east off here. I'll zoom in just a little bit more so we can see it. If you haven't learned already, by the way, the mouse wheel will zoom the screen. You probably have discovered that already. Another thing that's very handy to know is that middle mouse button, clicking and holding it will let you pan the display around, which is handy if you want something to be more centered than it is. So one of the tools that's available to us and is very handy to use will let us see the heading of this airplane and also visualize how far it is from where the aircraft is currently located to any particular fix on the screen. And we can do that by holding down the Alt key and then left clicking on the airplane. When we just do that without anything else, we get a line which projects along the current heading of the airplane all the way off the screen. So we can see this particular arrival right now is going to pass over Consul intersection, over Paradise VOR, and then just would proceed onwards if we didn't do anything to give it further instructions. So another very handy thing is after we've clicked on the airplane to give us the heading line, we can also click on a fix. For example, Paradise VOR here. If I click there, again holding down the Alt key and left clicking, we now get a distance between the aircraft and the VOR. Notice that's at 47 miles, and when the screen updates, we'll see that the distance also updates. And it will continue to do so as long as you leave the line there. To get rid of the line, just hold down the Alt key and left click anywhere on the screen, and the line will go away. And there's our first arrival. Let's accept the handoff.
Approach, Southwest 3768 with information Yankee at 14,000s descending to 12,000s.
Southwest 3768, roger. As Southwest 3768 comes under our control, we can see that the aircraft is on the Seaview 2 arrival, and control clicking on the aircraft, if you remember, will show you the star path, the arrival route, the standard terminal arrival route that the aircraft is following. This crosses over Consul intersection, makes this weird little dip, and then makes a right turn up to Seaview intersection. At that point, if the aircraft has reached that point and we haven't given it any further instructions, it will just continue to fly out this direction. So we control click again, that will make the arrival pattern go away. And our general strategy for handling all eastern arrivals is to take them to Paradise intersection and then to Le Havre intersection, and then give them an inbound turn towards Gate, and then hand them off to the ILS approach, clear them for the ILS approach. Now, a couple things we talked briefly about in one of my early tutorials was speed management. This aircraft is currently flying at 310 knots, which is indicated in the data block by this 3-1. They dropped the 0 off the speed. And it is at 14,000 feet, which is indicated by the 140. As long as we keep them at or above 10,000 feet, the aircraft will fly at its best cruise speed. It's not always 310 knots. On some aircraft it's lower. On Airbuses it's actually higher. It's 320 knots for those. And our general objective is to keep them high, above 10,000, at 10,000 or above I should say, so that their speed remains high and gets them into the airport as quickly as possible. Where this particularly is something you have to pay attention to is on aircraft that arrive on the River 2 arrival that come down from the northeast. Those aircraft, you'll hear when they check in that they're going to descend down to 8,000 feet, and you do not want them to do that as early as they're going to. So when you have an arrival that's coming in from up this direction, in fact just in general, all of these arrivals from the east, once you assume control of them and they've approached the Paradise intersection, you want to descend them down to 11,000 feet. Aircraft that are coming in from Graham on the River 2, you should almost immediately give them an instruction to descend and maintain 1,000 feet so that they don't descend below 10,000 feet and therefore slow their airspeed down to 250 knots. That's the key element here of this magic about the 10,000 foot altitude. Below 10,000 feet they will automatically slow to the maximum airspeed of 250 knots. We're not in a big rush here with Southwest 3768. They've got a ways to go to Paradise, which is where we want them, down around 11,000 feet. A very good habit to get into is to use your mouse wheel very frequently to zoom out and give yourself the big picture of what's occurring. We have an arrival coming in here. We have an arrival coming in here. And just visible now on the very bottom of the screen, there is another arrival coming in from the south. So we have 4 arrivals coming in from very different directions, and that's what we're going to manage, is those guys into the airport as part of this tutorial. I will zoom back in here and give some instructions to Southwest 3768. Get them going to Paradise VOR, and then get them in a little bit to start their descent down to 11,000 feet. Southwest 3768, proceed direct Paradise.
Proceed direct Paradise Southwest 3768.
Even though we don't have control of these aircraft out here, by control right-clicking on them, we can see the arrivals that they're going to be following. This guy is coming in on a Chemo 2 arrival. This guy is flying a Sadie 6 arrival. And this guy is flying a Buffy 1 arrival. And we can go ahead and start Southwest 3768 down now. Southwest 3768, descend and maintain 11,000.
Descend and maintain 11,000 Southwest 3768.
One of the things you may notice in listening as I give aircraft instructions is that my pace of speech picks up fairly significantly. That's just from playing the game a lot now and having the habit of talking to the aircraft rapidly. When they're not this, when they're this far apart, there really isn't any need to do that. It's just an acquired habit I have. But it does illustrate that you can talk very rapidly and speech recognition will still understand what you're saying correctly. And believe me, there are times when their screen is full of arrivals or departures where you do need to talk very rapidly. That's why controllers do that. The aircraft is Southwest 3760. It is now approaching Paradise VOR. We can go ahead and just now give them a direct to Lahab intersection. Southwest 3768, proceed direct Lahab.
Proceed direct Lahab Southwest 3768.
The general vertical profile we're after here for arrivals from the east is around 11,000 feet at Paradise. It's not that critical. If there are 12,000 there, that's fine. And then about the time they get to Tarak intersection here, right here between these two range rings, so let's see, this is 5, 10, 15, 25, 30, between 30 and 35 miles. We want them at about 9,000 feet. Then by the time they reach Lahab, about 7,000 feet. And then after they have left Lahab and are inbound towards gate intersection, we'll descend them down to 5,000 feet. And we can clear them onto the ILS really any time after they've passed Lahab and are on their way to gate on about a 270 heading. Indeed, that's the general strategy, is we're going to drive them to Lahab, turn them to a heading of 270 degrees towards gate, and then clear them onto the ILS 25 left approach. That's for aircraft inbound from the east. Again, just scroll out, and we've got a handoff here.
Approach Delta 16 with information Yankee at 6,000s descending to 7,000s.
Delta 16, roger. One of the things you will may have noticed is he said he was at 6,000 descending to 7,000. They don't really quite seem to get altitudes right quite frequently in the game, so you have to look at your arrival strip to see what altitude they are really bound for. In this particular case, Delta 16 is coming down to 6,000 feet. You can see we have Southwest 3768 cleared down to 11,000, and we're going to give them lower now. Southwest 3768, descend and maintain 9,000.
Descend and maintain 9,000 Southwest 3768.
And now we see the lower altitude here. Airplanes that are coming in on this Sadie 6 arrival will check in just before they get to Fillmore. So an interesting question is how long is it going to be until this airplane gets to Fillmore? So one thing to observe is this airplane is traveling at 250 knots, which we can see on the limited data block here by the 25 indicator. So a little fact to know is that at around 250 knots, airplanes are moving at about 4 miles a minute. They're actually moving a little bit faster than that, but that's a good thing to have in the back of your head. 4 miles per minute at 250 knots. So since these are 5-mile range rings, the airplane is currently at perhaps a little bit less than 8 miles. So it's about 2 minutes away from the Fillmore VOR. That's how long we have before we'll have to deal with that airplane. This airplane is a little bit more than 5 miles from Le Havre intersection and is also now at 250 knots. So it's about a minute in game time before it reaches Le Havre intersection if we were going to let it go all the way there. Here's our inbound arrival here. Here's our inbound arrival here. We don't have to wait till they completely reach Le Havre before we turn them inbound for gate. Anything just shy of them reaching this and then on a 270 heading is going to intercept the localizer very nicely. Southwest 3768, turn right heading 270, descend and maintain 7,000.
Turn right heading 270, descend and maintain 7,000 Southwest 3768.
Remember that you can combine turn and altitude commands into a single command with the game, and that's very commonly done in real life. We're going to shortly have to handle the flight coming in here. Now this guy, as you recall, is going to head out that way, and where we want him to go here is to Seal Beach. So let's just go ahead and send him there. Delta 16, proceed direct Seal Beach.
Proceed direct Seal Beach Delta 16.
We should be getting this handoff. There it is. Southwest 3768, descend and maintain 5,000.
Descend and maintain 5,000 Southwest 3768. Approach SkyWest 6743 with information Yankee at 8,700s descending to 5,000s.
SkyWest 6743, roger. Okay, we've got Southwest 3768 is descending to 5,000 and is on a 270 heading towards the localizer. Is in perfect condition right now to go ahead and clear him for the approach. Southwest 3768 cleared ILS runway 25 left approach.
Cleared ILS runway 25 left approach Southwest 3768.
The only remaining thing to do with this flight now is to hand them over to the tower, which we'll do once they're established on the localizer and around Honda intersection. You can clear them further out if it's easier, and many times when it's busy it will be easier once they're on the ILS to go ahead and clear them to the tower frequency. Now in real life what would happen is that we would not actually hand them over to the tower this far out, but we would give them the instruction to contact the tower once they reached one of these navigational fixes. Actually it's all the way up to Lima before normally they would be handed over to the tower at the final approach fix. Sometimes they're handed over a little further out. But the instruction isn't available in the game to tell them to contact the tower at a particular point. So we can just sort of fake that by telling them to go ahead and contact the tower and get them off of our hands. SkyWest 6743 is going to be flying this particular route here down to Sadie intersection through Based and then to Santa Monica. But there's no particular reason we can't give them a little bit of a shortcut now and just let them go directly to Santa Monica. That will save a little bit of flying time for them and some time for us. Let's do that. SkyWest 6743, proceed direct Santa Monica.
Proceed direct Santa Monica SkyWest 6743.
Take a look at Delta 16 here on its way to Seal Beach. Now again, if we wanted to estimate how long it was going to take us to get there, they're flying at 250 knots. We will alt-click, and we can see it goes right through Seal Beach. We'll click on Seal Beach, and we see they are roughly 26 miles, call it 25 miles, that makes it easy, at 4 miles a minute. That would be 24 miles, would take us 6 minutes, so it's just a little bit more than 6 minutes of game time before it reaches the Seal Beach intersection. That's a very handy calculation to keep in your head. For airplanes that are flying 300 knots, which is a lot of the arrivals are doing, are covering 5 miles a minute. And we can hand Southwest 3768 to the tower now. Southwest 3768, contact tower 133.9er.
Contact tower on 133.9er Southwest 3768.
That takes care of that aircraft, and we just have 3 left now. Our flight up here is still inbound. We haven't been handed off to us yet, so all we can do is sort of watch. This guy is still several minutes away from Seal Beach, and our SkyWest 6743 is inbound to Santa Monica. So it will actually be several minutes now before anything happens. I will go ahead and accelerate the game just so we don't waste too much time. Slowed it down again to acknowledge the incoming Horizon Air flight.
Approach Horizon Air 2421 with information Yankee at 7,000.
Horizon Air 2421, roger. Just as a reminder, Horizon Air 2421 will come down on its own to darts, turn left to perms, and it's expected for us to be vectoring the airplane after perms. A general strategy here, depending upon your arrival sequences that are coming in generally from this direction and then making the U-turn, you can, as soon as they come to darts, you can almost bring them directly to Mercy intersection and turn them in, particularly if there's no other traffic. If there is traffic, as our SkyWest 6743 is inbound now, you may need to vector them out just a little further, and I find it very common, especially when it's heavy, as they come in on this Chemo 2 arrival, to take them from the pattern that they will normally fly, which is darts to perms, and then have them proceed direct to El Monte VOR, which is this EMT right here. That's El Monte. So once they've sort of made the turn from darts, I will give them proceed direct El Monte, and then give them a turn down to due south, a heading of 180, and then turn them in towards Mercy intersection, sequencing them in with other traffic that's arriving from the east and is also making this little U-turn arrival from Santa Monica Airport. Since I didn't tell SkyWest 6743 to proceed direct and then resume the arrival, I'm going to have to vector them manually once they've reached the Santa Monica Airport or Santa Monica VOR. It happens those two are co-located. Santa Monica VOR and Santa Monica Airport are at the same thing, at the same place, but it is the VOR that they're heading towards, and we can turn them now. Southwest 6743, turn left heading 070.
Turn left heading 070, SkyWest 6743.
Now the airspace is beginning to get a little bit crowded looking around here, although this is really nothing compared to some of the game scenarios that you will run into. Remember that we have to keep 3 miles of lateral separation once we're within 40 miles of the airport, and all of these airplanes now are within 40 miles of the airport, or 1,000 feet of vertical separation. Delta 16 is at 6,000 feet, Horizon Air 2421 is at 7,000 feet, and SkyWest 6743 is at 5,000. So these airplanes could all now fly right on top of each other, and they would still have legal vertical separation. But we're going to change that fairly shortly here, so now we have to pay attention closely to both the vertical as well as the horizontal separation. Horizon 2421, proceed direct El Monte.
Proceed direct El Monte, Horizon Air 2421.
Delta 16, fly heading 360.
Fly heading 360, Delta 16.
We've got Delta 16 going straight up, heading of 360, which is the same as heading 0, straight up the screen. We'll turn them in a bit towards the ILS runway 24 right. Sorry, runway 25 left. Delta 16, descend and maintain 5,000.
Descend and maintain 5,000, Delta 16.
Horizon Air 2421, descend and maintain 6,000.
Descend and maintain 6,000, Horizon Air 2421.
Need to let SkyWest 6743 just get a little further east before we turn them inbound. And then we'll turn Horizon Air 2421 in behind them. SkyWest 6743, turn right heading 225, descend and maintain 4,000.
Turn right heading 225, descend and maintain 4,000, SkyWest 6743.
From the Santa Monica VOR eastbound, a heading of 225 will cause them to do a U-turn and come in just at about a 25 degree intercept to the runway 24 right localizer. Delta 16, turn left heading 270.
Turn left heading 270, Delta 16.
We'll wait for SkyWest 6743 to complete their turn so we can make sure they're on at least a 30 degree intercept, which looks good now. SkyWest 6743, cleared ILS runway 24 right approach.
Cleared ILS runway 24 right approach, SkyWest 6743.
Delta 16, cleared ILS runway 25 left approach.
Cleared ILS runway 25 left approach, Delta 16.
Horizon Air 2421, turn right heading 225.
Turn right heading 225, Horizon Air 2421.
SkyWest 6743, contact tower 133.9er.
Contact tower on 133.9er, SkyWest 6743.
As you can see, we ended up with plenty of separation between the SkyWest flight and the Horizon Air. Plenty of space. Horizon Air 2421, proceed direct Mercy.
Proceed direct Mercy, Horizon Air 2421.
Horizon Air 2421, descend and maintain 4,000.
Descend and maintain 4,100, Horizon Air 2421.
Well, that's a common thing that happens in the game. You probably have experienced it already. If you release your push-to-talk switch before the altitude settles, it doesn't actually descend to what you have asked for. Horizon Air 2421, cleared ILS runway 24 right approach.
Cleared ILS runway 24 right approach, Horizon Air 2421.
Delta 16, contact tower 133.9er.
Contact tower on 133.9er, Delta 16.
As this tutorial winds down now, we'll wrap it up as soon as we've handed Horizon 2421 over to the tower. Note that we've got pretty even spacing on the aircraft. They're just a bit over 5 miles apart. They could be as close as 3 miles, so we had plenty of room during the tutorial here to get everybody turned in. The same principles that we just used in the game here of bringing arrivals from the north and the west down through this pair of intersections here, or even a shorter cut directly to Santa Monica, and then paralleling the runways out to the east, turning them back in, applies to all approaches from up in this direction. Horizon 2421, contact tower 133.9er.
Contact tower on 133.9er, Horizon Air 2421.
Arrivals from the east are fundamentally a straight-in kind of an approach, but a good practice I've found is to bring them direct to Paradise VOR at 11,000 feet, to send them to 9,000 as they get between these two range markers around Tarak intersection, to send them to 7,000 by the time they cross Lahab intersection, give them a turn just as they're at or just short of Lahab intersection to a heading of 270 towards Gate, and then clear them for the ILS runway 25 left approach. You can descend them to 5,000 feet once they're inside Lahab. Gate intersection should be crossed at 5,000. For airplanes arriving from the south, we take them to the Seal Beach VOR, vector them north towards Gate or just a little bit to the east of there, and then give them the same left turn to 270, intersecting the localizer and then onto the ILS runway 25 left approach. That is the fundamental strategy for pretty much all arrivals, and if you stick to the discipline of doing that, even with a lot of traffic, you will find that you have a lot of success. Have a lot of fun with the game. Thanks for watching.